Hi, everybody. Oh, today we have something really special planned. Today we are here with Laurie, and of course, Tiffany's my co-pilot, and we're interviewing Laurie about her weight loss journey and your health journey, Laurie. Not just in working with us, but before as somebody who used to be quite obese and now is feeling much more in control of her weight and her health. And yeah, so we've got lots of questions, and we hope that if you are tuning into this Facebook Live, if you've got questions, you'll post them below. Tiffany's going to monitor the comments, and we will answer them during this chat. What we might do, though, to not interrupt the flow is, Tiffany, whenever you feel like it's an appropriate time to ask that question, that would be good, or we save them for last after we get through some of our questions, because I bet you a lot of our questions are the same questions you listening are going to have. Are we ready?
Yeah, sounds good. I'm ready to go.
All right.
So ready.
Awesome. Well, Laurie, thanks so much for being here today. I mean, I am really psyched that you're here to chat about your journey. I would love to know what was happening in your life when we first started coaching. What kinds of goals were you struggling with? What were you trying to like shift or attract or create for yourself?
So, when the pandemic came, I had previously in my life, and I won't talk about it all now, lost a tremendous amount of weight and could not stick that weight loss. I would just gain, and then go down. So I had gone from 283 pounds down to about 150. So that's a great accomplishment, and I'm proud of that. But that last 20, 30 pounds, I just couldn't get rid of it. And I would go back and forth and back and forth. So I finally went to a health coach that I really respected close by. I said, it's the pandemic. Time to deal with this last 20 pounds. I'm just going to focus on it. So over Zoom for a year, tracking, and that's on purpose. I was tracking 1,000 to 1,100 calories. I weighed 165 pounds at 5'1", so not a small person, and I did not lose a pound. More importantly, as I sort of moved away from that because I thought, well, this isn't working, I gained. When I started going up to like 1,400 calories, I gained, and I gained quickly, and I got up to 182. That's when I found you. And I was distressed at that weight. So yeah.
I bet, a year is a long time to stick with something and not get the results you hope for. So I admire your tenacity. So sorry, at the beginning you said you had started off at what? Was it 218 or 280?
280. I was always an obese child, teenager, 200-pound teenager. I did Nutrisystem, I did Weight Watchers, I did all different kinds of things. I would lose and then gain. And I thought, well, this really isn't working. And after I got married and had babies, I just sort of said, I just let it all go. And I crept up to 283 pounds. And I found HCG in my mid 50s. So not early in life, in my mid 50s. And that's Weight Watchers. I lost 40. And then right after that, I lost 90 pounds with HCG.
Wow. So HCG really had the most dramatic impact on you. So for people who don't understand what HCG is, HCG stands for human chorionic gonadotropin. It is the HCG diet is a diet that was invented in the 1950s by Dr. Simeons. He had an obesity clinic. He's an English doctor. He had an obesity clinic in Italy in which he treated people in-house with his protocol. It was a 500-calorie protocol, and people from all over Europe came and he treated, I believe it was thousands of patients. But it was a very rigid 500-calorie diet where you got maybe 20 things you could eat, a list of approved foods, nothing else, no additional fats. There are some strange things about the protocol, like you can't input oils or makeup on your skin. There are only certain vegetables, certain fruits, certain meats you could eat. 1 breadstick, 1 tablespoon of milk in your coffee, otherwise no dairy. But people lost epic amounts of weight really quickly on his protocol. He also prohibited exercise, only walking. I myself lost like 27 pounds on the HCG diet, regained it. And then when I wanted to do it again because it felt like the only diet that ever worked for me as well. And then I created a higher calorie protocol, higher protein, muscle sparing protocol that has since evolved. You don't need to do it with HCG anymore. You can do it with or without. But basically, I lost another 27 pounds on my higher calorie protocol, felt like I had more energy, and didn't have some of the nasty side effects that can happen when you do a 500 calorie protocol. So for the last 5 years, we have been helping clients lose weight on my own muscle sparing higher calorie protocol, just to give you a little bit of background. And so Laurie came to us to do the Transformer program, which has that protocol. And so maybe you just want to chat about that. So you were up to 180 some pounds after working with this health coach, and you'd had enough. You needed to, so you went back to work.
And what happened was, and I still do have a lot of respect for her.
Yeah.
She worked really hard. She did a lot of research, and she had a lot of integrity, and she looked right at me and said, I don't know why you're gaining weight. I've researched, I've checked your logs, I've done this, I've whatever, I don't know. And so I found you. And you do know. and that's meant the world to me.
That's great. So after working with us, you lost how much weight?
Now this is interesting because I will tell you, I've lost 22 pounds, which is not an enormous amount of weight. That is not my biggest win. That is not my biggest win. My biggest win is how I have changed fundamentally both my body, my metabolism, my sense of my body, what I'm able to do, and my mind and my mindset and my habits. And I believe I will get to a weight whenever, but that's no longer my goal. My goal is about my overall health. And actually, at this point, I would prioritize building muscle mass over losing weight. And that is entirely because of the influence of you two with me. And so, that is a big change. It's easy to focus on the scale and stop eating, and you will lose weight. However, if you do that, and this I learned from you, because of hormonal impact, you will turn around and gain it all back. And along the way, get osteoporosis, get high cortisol, get a lot of other health problems that come with being on a very low calorie diet too long. Okay. And then the emotional piece of when people would talk to me about my diet and my weight loss, they would say, well, what do you eat? And all I would say is, well, I don't eat gluten. I don't eat dairy. I don't eat sugar. Inflammatory foods. I don't eat any of the inflammatory. And I was so proud of this. Listen to the phrasing. It wasn't an answer to the question, what do you eat? It was all about everything I didn't eat. So the freedom to eat anything, like having bread for the first time in 10 years was like a party, I couldn't believe it. And my weight is the same. So all of those misconceptions that I had, that I taught myself, the discipline that I put in was creating such a restrictive environment with food that I actually had so much anxiety that I was eating more unconsciously, snacking and stuff. That was the weight gain. And I wasn't enjoying any of the food. So
too much guilt. Too much fear, too much guilt. We always say it's not about the weight you lose, it's about the freedom you gain. And we know people come to us because they want to lose a certain amount of weight. They have a very specific number in their heads. And hopefully after working with us for a few months, they start to see there's a shift, like you talked about. They stop fearing foods. They have a better relationship with their body. They start to see the health benefits of weight loss, not just looks. And some people do come to us because they know they need to get their blood pressure down. They know they are trending towards diabetes. And so they see some of these improved health markers after, and like they're sold once they see those.
Right.
But I love that you're taking more of a health approach to this, and your mindset has just appreciated that it's just not all about the number on the scale. It's so
Well,
much.
The number on the scale is concrete and it's there and it's easy to track and you can see the graph and it goes up, it goes down and you're feeling good. It goes up and you're like, but there's so much more to the picture that influences the number on the scale. So although I had heard all of these things from other health coaches and doctors and stuff, I never really worked to create the habits. I was just focused on food restriction and I could do it with HCG. And then I lost all my muscle mass, what little I had to begin with. My sleep was horrible. My cortisol through testing was really high. I was leptin resistant. So all of those factors will guarantee that unless I'm only eating 500 calories a day, which is, I was functionally starving myself to death, I was going to gain weight. So in essence, it's weird, but just restricting food without looking at the whole picture is actually going to create a weight problem.
Yes.
So,
our weight is the outcome of all of our daily habits, how much movement we get. It's not just the food on the plate, like you say. And unfortunately, a lot of people go into a diet with no thought of what they're going to do when they've lost the weight and it's time to come off the diet and how they're going to do real life. And so they slip back into old habits because they've really made no lifestyle changes. All they've done is change the amount of food on their plate. And so the weight starts to creep back up. And so a big part of the program is to teach people habits, a new habit every week, try to master it and, improve your stress, improve your sleep, learn about the importance of protein at every meal. All these different things work together to create the outcome people desire. And so as we always say, like, focus on the actions you can take to get the outcome you desire.
Right.
That's what's going to help you long-term, not just during the weight loss phase, but afterwards, when you're trying to maintain that weight loss. So Tiffany, do you have anything you want to add to that?
I do, actually. I think, Laurie, you mentioned something earlier that really stood out to me. You said that your perspective has changed. You're no longer focused on the number on the scale. You're focused on your overall health and your overall well-being. And I think that that's amazing because that's another thing that we say is change happens from the inside out. You've come to realize that as you continue to focus on these key habits and you continue to focus on decreasing your stress and improving your sleep and increasing your daily movement, eventually the goal is going to be reached.
Right.
And I think that that's amazing, especially because I know a lot about your history. And I would like to know what triggered that shift in mindset for you. At what point did you realize this is not working? If I really want to see these changes, I've got to get up and I've got to move and I've got to focus on other things other than controlling my food.
Okay. Well, two things. Through my own self-study, which is dangerous because I'm not a doctor, but the endocrinologist would look at me and say, you're fine, because my thyroid hormones were coming out fine. Although my reverse T3 was elevated, which is an indication of leptin resistance, and my cortisol has always been high. But there is a lesson, we had it recently on metabolism and how metabolism works. My experience of my life had me convinced that calories in, calories out was not a thing. Therefore, I became very like when I would see it on social media, I'd be like, oh, because in that moment in my life, it wasn't, because my hormonal system was so disrupted from all of the low calorie dieting that I had been doing. So when I brought up leptin, you were very confident, you were very knowledgeable, you knew it. And then you created this whole lesson that talks about exactly what's going on in your hormonal systems. Ladies, I've been to 2 endocrinologists, an acupuncturist, a functional medicine doctor. None of them told me any of that stuff. You guys did. And when you did it, it worked for me. And all the other health practitioners that I had worked with were telling me what to do. But that piece, it was like a puzzle and there was a key piece and I didn't understand it and it wasn't working. So that was a big aha moment. And that was a big, like, the pieces came together. The puzzle was complete. The biggest issue in my life was I didn't move and I didn't have muscle mass. And to keep those hormones regulated, I needed to have muscle mass. And so there was that. And then there was the fact that my whole life I've been sedentary. Simeon's telling me I didn't have to exercise. Yay, answer to a prayer. Bad idea, but yay. So there was I needed in my head first, I need to understand why. And all the other health practitioners were like, well, we told you what to do. You just wouldn't do it. I said, because I didn't understand why. Now I understood why. And then the next piece of it, and really, I owe you a debt, especially Tiffany, but Adele also, your constant, positive, gentle, relentless support, reminders, your no guilt coaching experience is profound. I mean, I'm a 68, almost 69-year-old woman that's never left the couch, along with the other piece of information that really resonated with me when I first came to you was NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. I think after the pandemic, I had nothing. I mean, I was just at zero kind of thing. So just that constant reminder in a positive way, positive, always building on the success, always whatever. So I think the content of understanding why and the encouragement and consistency and your commitment to my success made the difference.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
It's true.
Tiffany's an awesome coach.
She's fabulous.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, it's great that you got that missing piece. And I think some people don't need to know why.
I agree.
But you're an engineer, right? By background?
No.
Oh,
No,
sorry.
I'm actually a consultant and a trainer, and I was an elementary teacher for a while.
Oh, okay.
But it's just the way I work in the world. I need to get it and then believe it. Part of the problem was I believed everything the doctors told me my whole life. I did what they told me, and I didn't get the results. So then I became very skeptical, so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for people who've been trying a lot of things and are very confused and they feel broken, understanding the why is like a light bulb moment for them, and their bodies make more sense. And there is more trust in us as coaches when things are explained. And I think then when there's belief in that, there can be more dedication to getting the results as well. Although I don't doubt you were very committed to these other individuals and did what they say. But it feels like you were just missing some key pieces of information, like the importance of movement. I think people, especially as we age, we become more sedentary. And this is a big reason why people struggle with their weight after the age of 40. There's a multitude of reasons. It can be different for different people, because some people stay highly active and can still struggle with their weight. But for most people, they become less and less active, more sedentary. They're burning fewer calories at rest, but they're still eating like they were. And so that's why the scale continues to go up. Yeah, great. I really appreciate that feedback. And Tiffany, any other questions?
I think that it's also really important to note that, as our coach, our job is to support you. And you mentioned guilt-free. It's not my job to make you feel guilty. You know where you're succeeding, you know where you're struggling. It's my job to help you kind of come up with a plan to overcome those things. What's one small thing you can focus on? Because change doesn't happen overnight. You've got years of being in your current routine, and breaking that cycle is very difficult. But I also think that it's really important to note that at the end of the day, you, the client, are the one putting in the work and putting in the effort. I'm just giving you words of affirmation.
But they matter. And the other piece I will say, because I had a very different experience with doctors when I was young, with a trainer, later on in life with other different people. When I would commit, I can be a very determined and disciplined person when I decide to do it. I got to understand the why. But when I would do what they would tell me and log it and whatever, and show them that I did it and didn't get the results because they didn't understand why, the only way they could reconcile their world was to shame me and blame me. And I got a lot of that from a lot of different people who were in the field of trying to help me, both professional doctors, as well as trainers, as well as functional medicine doctors. The acupuncturist was trying to keep me.
Oh, Unfortunately, you froze. Let's get started again. We dropped our connection.
Sorry.
We are back. No worries. And hopefully Tiffany can join us shortly. So Laurie, we were talking, remind me what we were talking about, because that was almost 20 minutes ago.
So I know. So you had asked the question, what is it that finally got me moving? What was it that happened that, that I had been a sedentary person my whole life, and now I really yearn for activity and getting out and whatever. And I said, really, there were two things. One is the understanding of how and why muscle is so important in the functioning of metabolism, and how the lack of muscle was contributing to my continual weight gain after I would lose weight, how important it was, and getting the why in my head. And the other thing was the really persistent, in a positive, calm, supportive, consistent way that Tiffany would just continue to remind me and encourage me in a guilt-free way. And because we're talking about maybe a year of, just to put a reference point to it, of this, where I was at a certain weight and I wasn't doing anything, and Tiffany would just keep reminding me, how are you doing with the steps? How are you doing with the moving, and whatever. But it was always positive and guilt-free. And Tiffany had commented in a humble way, well, that's just my job. And that's just, that's, what you're not doing. I don't need to remind you. I was just doing my job. And the point I was about to make when everything dropped down is, but in my life, in seeking out doctors and endocrinologists and health coaches and trainers, there are so many times when I had committed to their protocol determinedly and responsibly and had not gotten the results because they didn't know the whole picture. And because they didn't know, and I was falling outside their norm, the only conclusion they could make to preserve their own sense of self was to blame me or shame me. And I have had that experience my whole life. And so this is unique. And it bears the support that I give it, because because it does it to make me feel bad that I'm not moving when they tell me to move. And I don't, half of the time I wasn't moving because I wasn't eating enough food. I wasn't eating enough food.
So much in what you just said, and I wanted to talk about each of those points. So first of all, the muscle is extremely important for your metabolism. It's so important for insulin sensitivity, which can decline with age if people are very sedentary and losing muscle. It's so important for your blood sugar. Muscle burns more calories at rest than fat tissue does. Also, the more muscle you carry, that is highly correlated with bone density. Not always, but it really, a strength training workout will help with bone density. You burn more calories in an exercise routine, but there's also the afterburn. So after you finish a workout, you continue to burn calories for up to 48 hours later. There are so many benefits to it, not to mention confidence, mindset, functional movement, independence as we age. The benefits are many. You mentioned about how if you didn't follow their protocol or their routine, basically they blamed you for not doing something or not following it. And I think their routine might work for the majority of people, but there are always outliers who need more customization, more kind of digging at root cause to figure out what's going on. And we can provide that. Now, unfortunately, a lot of doctors, a lot of healthcare professionals just don't have the time to invest in each of their patients or their clients. We tend to be able to work more, give our clients more time. And so we're probably one of the most important members of a person's healthcare team. And we want to be that for our clients. We want them to reach out to us, ask questions. We love curiosity. We love it when people want to learn. You've always been that way, which is great. What else? You touched on so many things. So I can't even remember them all, but and then no blame. We're adults. We know where we're sort of falling short, and sometimes you just need a little nudge in the right direction. And Tiffany is great at that. And Tiffany and I both have, been overweight and obese We know how hard it is. And we know people have chosen to pay good money and invest their time and energy because they're motivated to lose the weight and keep it off. So we're just going to meet them where they're at, wherever they're at. And for you, it took you a year to actually start working out, right? I remember the resistance to weight training and things like that. So Tiffany had asked you, what really got you going? You said, well, it's because I finally understood the importance of muscle for my metabolism.
And then the other thing was, because Tiffany would give me lots of little hints. Maybe think of it this way, maybe think of it that way. And you did too, you know, maybe rethink yourself, and you're an athlete. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not an athlete. But then I thought, I've always wanted to walk across England. So maybe I'll just set that as a goal for myself. For some reason, I'm jazzed about the notion of walking across a landmass. So I'll just set that for a goal for myself. And I know a really good guy who's a good personal trainer who I tried to work with before, and then it didn't kind of work out. Maybe I could get him involved because I'm a people person, and, you know, that accountability like would be good. So I got the goal and I started last October. And, you know, what's fascinating is good stuff builds health. Health builds a better feeling inside your body and about your body. And it becomes a positive cycle. All of a sudden, you're doing things, and then you want to do more things, and then you want to do more things, as opposed to the negative cycle of sitting on the couch. And I'm still fighting it. I won't lie. It's still a whatever. But this trip is coming up June 23rd. And so the trainer Bob is like, and you must get out and start, because I've got some 10, 11 mile days coming up in front of me walking. So I've got a condition for it. And it's exciting. It's exciting.
That's so exciting. That is right up my alley. I'm actually headed to Scotland to hike the West Highland Trail on May 23rd. And it's an 8-day hike. So walking across the landmass has a huge appeal to me too. I love it. It's going to help your muscles, your bone density. It's going to be so exciting. Having a big goal can really motivate us to take charge of our health.
You mentioned bone density a couple of times, and I want to say that I suffered after my years and years and years and years of HCG and very, very, very low calorie dieting. I was then diagnosed with osteoporosis in my hip and osteopenia in my spine. And it concerned me a lot. And I tried a lot of different things, and I kept getting measured for it. And it got slightly better with, I don't know, some AlgaCal or whatever they were marketing on, whatever, but nothing really made a difference. And so I'm always mindful. And there was a period of time in the wintertime with all this very low calorie dieting, I would slip and fall and break a wrist, break a this. And this was 5 years ago or so. Wow. And I thought, I'm too young to be breaking everything. I'm not doing that. So again, the messaging around, for people our age, around bone health and bone density. And, I didn't eat dairy for 10 years. Now I'm eating, because I took out dairy. Well, I just kept wondering what the heck is going on, and why do I keep gaining weight so easily after each round of HCG? And I couldn't figure it out. So I would research, and and everybody has a book, right? So they focus. And I would try it. I'd be like, okay. So I just started eliminating all the potentially inflammatory foods.
Right.
So gluten went, and dairy went, and lectins went, and you know them all, and they're all back now.
All that. Yeah.
Adele, they're all back now, but
I'm so glad. Yeah. I mean, there's so much misinformation, and it's like dairy is actually anti-inflammatory and can help people lose more weight. It has a good amount of protein. And it's unfortunate people are hearing from doctors, naturopaths, that it is inflammatory, because it's the opposite. I don't know why they're all drinking from that Kool-Aid, but anyway, the research is really clear on this. Anyone wants some articles, I'm happy to share them. That calcium is so important for your bone density. By removing foods, we can really negatively affect our health. The more food variety we have, generally the more robust and healthier we are, because we're getting more nutrients.
And I will tell you that my body cued me on that, that after I would lose the weight and then my personality responded really well to the strict structure of the HCG diet. So when I came off HCG and I was constantly gaining weight, I would just try to get strictly and structured again. And whenever I would do that, I knew my body was like rebelling. It was like it needed variety. It needed more calories and it needed variety. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we can only white knuckle it for so long. Some people who are extremely successful at dieting, it's a crash and burn after, because they don't have any structure for when the diet is over. And that's one thing we try to give our clients as a plan for when the diet ends. No, we don't try, we do. Sorry, Tiffany just texted me. So yeah, hopefully she can join us soon. Let me just check right now. Oh, she can't, unfortunately. Okay, so I wanted to ask you, for everyone listening, you had mentioned you had lost 22 pounds, but you had also mentioned you worked with us for a year. So people might be confused, like 22 pounds in a year. Why did it take so long? Can you explain?
Absolutely. So before joining you, through my own study and through validation with blood tests, my hormonal system was a mess, an absolute mess. My cortisol was off the charts. My leptin I was leptin resistant. I was whatever. So, and what I learned from you and whatever is, very low calorie dieting really puts a stress on that system, and that it is really important to have a period of maintenance, perhaps a long period of maintenance, if you're going to diet again, before you put your body back in that stress.
Yeah. And let me just share with people that when you do a very low calorie diet, you don't really destroy your metabolism as much as these down regulations occur, these adaptations occur.
Right.
And people mistake them for wrecking their metabolism, but really, like, your thyroid goes down, your cortisol goes up, your testosterone can go down, your ghrelin, the hunger hormone, will increase. So all these adaptations are occurring. These reverse when people are brought back to maintenance calories. Unfortunately, what we see with some of our clients is they do a very low calorie diet, and then they will eat carbs right away. They gain a bunch of weight on the scale because of the water retention. They freak out. They go back to restricting their calories, and they're constantly yo-yoing and messing with their hormones. And you have to be at maintenance for a period of time for these adaptations to reverse. And so this yo-yo dieting isn't helping anything, and constant rounds of low calorie dieting isn't helping either. Oh, I mean, we've seen people's hair fall out on
mine did.
Calorie
mine
diet.
did.
Yours did. Muscle cramping, electrolyte imbalances, headaches, like that.
I had it all.
Experience that on our protocol. They might experience headaches in the beginning, but we have some recommendations around that. So yeah, it's really important to have a period of maintenance, like Laurie says, and also to have enough protein to maintain your muscle mass while you're dieting.
The other thing, though, too, I think that gets lost, that's really important. You do set people up for afterwards. You do talk a lot about good habit formation. I did not mention, but I also, along with the lifetime of obesity, I had a lifetime of having a hard time going to bed at night, having a hard time getting the sleep that I need. I continue to work on trying to get enough water in the day. Okay. I had, in fact, before I met you, I had researched starvation. What is starvation? I had all the symptoms. I was functionally starving myself all the time. I had the osteoporosis. I had all of these health problems, and it takes a while to develop new habits. Mm-hmm. And my goal was to stop this treadmill, or this gerbil wheel, I should say, of HCG, lose a bunch of weight, stop, gain a bunch of weight, HCG, lose a bunch of weight, because I was wrecking my health in other ways. Was I thinner sometimes with the HCG? Yes. But was I healthier? No. In fact, I was doing a lot of damage. So I'm thrilled. I'm actually thrilled. I lost the 22 pounds that had put me at the threshold.
Did it take for you to lose the 22 pounds?
That was the first time I did the first transformer program. Not long. not long, because I moved into reverse dieting, which I think we want to talk about for a minute because it's a miracle thing. I moved into reverse dieting pretty early. As Tiffany said, I think we need to start reverse diet you. I think your body's starting to show some whatever. So I said, oh, okay. So I kind of don't remember. I feel like I feel like I did very low calorie dieting for maybe 7 weeks, maybe 6 or 7 weeks. And then I reverse dieted. But the real incredible gain is because the other thing that happens is mindset, emotions, belief systems follow the experience of the habits. If you've had a lifetime and or 10 years of one thing, and now you're trying something new, to really invest in it and make it a part of who you are, it takes some time, right? So, so then I did the new you for a while, and yeah, I wanted to lose weight. That's where my mindset started to shift. But the truth is, the real win was I started going to bed. I started sleeping much better, measuring my sleep on my Fitbit, much higher quality sleep, right? My tracking my skill around tracking got much better. There was a lot of food I was eating that I was unaware of, But again, you don't have 55 years of one kind of habit and then just change it in 3 months. Does that make sense? So,
totally. It's a journey. I mean, healthy eating and working out doesn't have a deadline. It's something we do for the rest of our life.
Right. And the other thing too, for me, and so then I was going along, and I will admit, I was frustrated with myself, not with you guys, but with myself, that, I wasn't losing the weight. I'm like, well, maybe I'll take the transformer program again. Oh, some of the weight had started to creep back up. So it's like, oh, I'll do the transformer program again. This has been the best decision, such a blessing. There's so much information in the program. And the truth is, after HCG and on my own, I had changed my eating habits fundamentally. I thought, oh, I got this. Oh, I know this. And so the first time through, when the lessons came through, I took in some things that I was really curious about. And then I'm like, no, I'm way ahead on this. Well, then I wasn't. Then I wasn't. And so the second time through, it's like I'm absorbing things on a different level. And there's so much information. There's still things for me to learn that I haven't learned yet. But I really think the biggest issue is there were so many habits that needed to change. And it takes a while and takes focus. It's hard to change 5 habits at the same time, but you can, but it's hard. And I think that's where my effort is right now, is trying to get the whole picture in place.
Yeah, I love it. That's great. So you regained a little bit. So you lost some weight in the Transformer program a year ago. Yep. Then you went into the New You program, and your mindset, even though we say you should maintain your weight for as long as you dieted for, your mindset was, I still want to lose some weight. And you ended up regaining a little bit of weight. And so then you took the Transformer program again at the end of the year. You're going in deeper now into the mindset, into the nutrition knowledge, and you're applying all these habits more consistently, I guess. And you started working out. You work out with a personal trainer now, right? Right. How do you strength train 2 or 3 times a week? What do you do?
Yes, at least 2, maybe 3. So usually what happens is I see him 2 times a week, and we do, we lift and I don't know, we do whatever Bob says we're going to do. I'm like, okay. and then I live in the mountains in New Hampshire. So Bob keeps telling me, oh, you're so lucky you have hills. I hate the hills. He goes, the hills are the best thing. So the idea is, and when the weather was nicer, now it's getting nicer again, I would go out and walk my hills. And I also started to set a goal of just going to the gym myself and trying to do what I can, work out, get some cardio in, do some rowing, some whatever on my own. So I was trying through the winter, I was trying to get there like 4 times a week, twice with him, twice on my own.
Have you gained any muscle?
Yes, but I can't remember from the Arbaleaf scale exactly what it is. Yes, I've gained muscle. My measurements have gone down, and my weight has not moved a tremendous amount. I lost the little bit that I gained, and I'm sort of back down again. And I'm making a choice consciously to try to let it go, because I have hunger signals that I never had before. I'm starting to have satiety signals that I never had before. I am happier and more optimistic. I have dopamine going on that was never there before. I enjoy food. I look forward to food. I don't freak out about going out to eat or all that guilt. And like, there are so many things that are working well that I just think, for me, my focus has to continue to be about building muscle and exercise, and let the scale go. It just,
and the weight will come off. Like,
I believe
you
that.
know, but that's not the important thing. That is, the weight is a consequence of all the daily habits, and your habits are just so much better than they were.
Right.
And you're enjoying life and enjoying the freedom you have around food. You're eating dairy. You're not worried about sugar. You're not worried about gluten anymore. You're not worried about lectins and all these other things that people like to get, all the fear mongering that's out there about those foods. Yeah, that's wonderful. So what do you consider your biggest breakthrough, Laurie?
There are really two. I think my relationship to food changed entirely. I think I could be an anxious person anyway, and I think I had so much anxiety wrapped up in this conscious repressing of what I can eat, how much I can eat, where I can eat, how, all that stuff. That one day I realized, wow, I can eat anything I want. And it was just, all that guilt and anxiety and shame just went away. That's huge. And then the other thing is really recognizing, and it's still an effort, the enjoyment of exercise and the need to exercise and to get out and to do that. And I would say, check in with me in a year and we'll see where I am. Check in with me in a year and I might even let you show my pictures.
So this exercise though has allowed you, like, it's freed up possibilities, because now you're going to walk across England. I mean, that's incredible. And so when you can see the benefits of, consistent activity and the doors it opens for you, that can create enjoyment down the road. But for some people, like, they don't really enjoy it, but they enjoy how it makes them feel. And that creates the motivation to keep going.
Right.
So, honestly, what did you like least about the Transformer program?
So this is a comment about me and not about the Transformer program, because there isn't a lot that I didn't like. I am kind of an obnoxiously interactive learner. And I would say in the end that this part of the program is beneficial for me. So what I really want to do is just be in a room with you and Tiffany, and we're geographically disparate, so that's not going to happen, and just pick your brain every time I have a thought or a question or whatever. And even on the group calls, which are truly wonderful and stuff, it's hard for me not to talk too much and say too much and whatever, because my ex-husband used to say, I don't think your brain works unless your mouth is moving, which is true. So for me, I always like a live kind of thing. Okay. Now, that being said, I think that's a comment about me. Interacting in the way that we do through technology and stuff is absolutely positive. It absolutely works. I think it was good for me because it forced me into my own introspection, as opposed to being interactive in reflecting. I had to really think as I was putting my tracker together to send to Tiffany, to whatever, what happened? What's this? What's that? And then reach out to her and then create some kind of a dialogue. But I mean, it's really more about me and how I learn, not necessarily about the program.
If you could wave a magic wand, you'd like us to physically be together in a room and you could just pick our brains. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that might happen. We might have a retreat in the future and you can do
I'll
that.
be there. I'll be there. Yeah. The amount of information that you have is so complete. The foundation of information is so solid. It's your positivity, but it's also the confidence that you have. It's infectious and it spreads. What happens is I ingest it and then I go, oh, they said, like I'll get on the scale, and this, I'll give you an example. In the Transformer program, I know this seems impossible, but this is me. I was going along, I was being compliant. And then one night, who knows why, I sat down and I ate a couple of handfuls of, ready for the sugar-free chocolate chip cookies. They didn't eat chocolate chips, not chocolate chip cookies, chocolate chips. They didn't even have sugar in them. I gained 7 pounds. Now, we know, I learned from you, it wasn't 7 pounds of like fat, but that's an enormous jump overnight for 2 handfuls of chocolate chips. I have these sorts of experiences in my body all the time. And I just got on the scale and I went, they said it's going to whoosh. They said it's going to whoosh. Oh, we'll look for the whoosh. Now, the whoosh took 2 weeks. It wasn't a quick, my whooshes don't happen quickly, but they do happen.
You're an outlier for sure.
Yeah, they don't happen quickly, but they do happen. When I was with HCG, I was thinking about this today. When I was doing HCG and coming off HCG and do something like that and gain, I used to describe to people, my gain is like a stair step. I go up and then I stay, and then I go up and then I stay. So I was thinking about this the other day. How come I don't do that anymore and I come back down? And here's what I think the difference is. It's the mindset and the belief system that I will come back down, that I just have to come back to my routine and my whatever. Probably I was unconsciously freaking out over the gain and that anxiety to which I alluded. I was eating more than I thought I was eating. And therefore I was sort of supporting that gain, if that makes sense.
It's highly likely. Like there's a certain amount of people that are stress eaters and they eat in response to stress. And when the scale goes up, they get stressed and then they eat, and then it just kind of gets into a vicious cycle. So my gut feel is that was probably what was occurring. But now you know to sort of calm yourself down, trust the process. You've been through the process now and you see it works. If as long as you're consistently putting in the effort, the weight will come back down.
Right.
So,
right. And it does.
What hesitation did you have about working with us in the beginning?
So it's very interesting. This is a great question. I actually found you through HCG Chica online. And I was looking for something and looking for a health coach. And this is embarrassing, but I'm going to be honest and truthful here. And I went through the first screening and you were going to accept me, and the cost kind of put me off, right? Yeah. And I was like, oh, I could do this with Trish and and she was live. Trish is here, somebody who's here, and So you were great. You're like, fine, if that's not an investment you want to make, good luck to you. You were great. So Trish was the one I sat with, and I don't know what I paid her, but I don't know what I paid her, way more than I would have paid you. And she was the one that we were tracking macros for the year through the pandemic, and nothing happened. And then it set my body up to gain all that weight. And I went, okay, well, that was foolhardy. That was ridiculous. So I turned right around and came back to you, and, So the investment is so well worth it.
Oh, that's great to hear. We think it's well worth it. I mean, you spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars over the years not to get the kind of clarity you got in 3 months with our program. Yeah. Exactly. So the price of something is not always the true cost of something.
Or value, the price 100%. Is not the value. Right.
Yeah. Right. And there's a lot in this program for sure. Well, so last question, unless you have questions for me, Laurie.
The only comment that I wanted to make, because people will come up to it, reverse dieting and maintenance was a brand new concept for me. And after the 10 years of very low calorie, I started to get nervous, but I trusted Tiffany when she would say, now I want you to do this. And I'd be like, it's so much food. It's so much food, because it was a lot more food than I was eating. It's magic. Even now, my calories have gone up about 400. I went from, about 880 to like 1250 or something. And my weight's going down, it's like there is this fine balance between the amount of food that you eat and how much you move. And when you don't take in enough food, you don't move. And when you don't move, you don't build muscle, and the whole thing spirals down a black hole. Okay.
Yeah. And
And
you
it's
don't burn as
really
many
important to
calories.
find that balance. And,
Mhm.
you know, and that was a profound experience to me. And before I came back to the Transformer program again, the amount of food that I was eating in maintenance was like, I haven't eaten that much food in a decade, you know, like whatever. So, yeah. Like, and I'm hoping that this focus now on exercise and muscle building and redefining me will be as transformative as all the other things that I've put in place.
Right. Are you reverse dieting right now still?
Yep.
Yeah. So you're
Yep.
at 1250 right now, but you should go up.
Oh yeah.
Especially with your exercise. You know, so the reverse diet feels like magic, but it's not. And I think you understand how it works. Like, basically, for anyone listening, like Laurie said, if you don't get enough food, you don't move as much. What happens is it is a fine balance. Some people, when you drop their food intake, they will still go play pickleball. We've had clients, they will still go do activities and exercise. And some people, they just feel so depleted, they just want to sit on the couch. Well, guess who burns more calories? The ones who stay active. So sometimes increasing calories a slight amount for those people who turn into couch potatoes makes them want to be more active.
Right.
And then any additional calories that we give people, they offset through exercise, just increased activity or NEAT, like Laurie was talking about before, where they just move their body more. I mean, if you're listening to this, you have probably felt very depleted on a diet where just getting up to get the remote control and change the channels feels like an effort. And so you might just continue watching the show that you're watching, even though you don't really like it, because it takes so much effort to move. And so this is, as coaches, why we want to make sure people are getting enough calories, but it's a sweet spot where they are losing weight, but they have enough energy to still do activities of daily living. Their mood is still good. Their energy is still good. When we reverse diet our clients, when they come off of a low calorie to higher calories, we introduce more calories every week. And the goal is to get them to maintenance as quickly as possible without regaining the weight they've lost. Now, most people lose a couple pounds during this phase. And they're astonished. They're like, I don't understand why I am losing just as much weight as when I was dieting and I'm eating more calories. And it's because they're just moving more unconsciously.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they also feel like I have all this energy, I need to do something with it. And so they start going back to the gym or doing yoga or something like that. So that's sort of why it feels like magic, how you can eat more and still lose weight. It's because you end up moving more often unconsciously. Well, my last question for you, Laurie, is what advice would you give to somebody who's considering working with us?
Just do it. Just do it. If anything I have said resonated with you and your life, if you've suffered through being very obese and experiencing lots of shame, if you've sought help and the people who were supposed to help you just couldn't and then blamed you, if you did it and you lost a lot of weight and then you gained it back again and then you lost it, my brain got stuck on the calories in, calories out, because I thought, well, this is not working, that's not what's happening, whatever. If you're somebody like me who needs to understand in order to do, or if you just need that support, need a group of people, need somebody who's been there and knows what they're doing, this is it. I mean, I am convinced that I have transformed. I haven't lost a ton of weight, but I have transformed fundamentally. And therefore, I absolutely believe that, the consistent applications of new habits, new skills, new whatever will get me there. And I know I still have goals in front of me to accomplish, but I feel confident and energized about the goals. I don't feel like it's insurmountable and there's nothing I can do about it. And I don't feel hopeless. I feel hopeful.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you have lost 22 pounds. You've put on more muscle. You've lost inches. You're working out regularly. You got a walk across England planned. You no longer fear foods. You feel better about yourself. You feel better in your own skin. You have hope. I mean, these are massive wins.
It's a huge transformation. It is really. Yep.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time, Laurie.
Thank
I
you.
really, really appreciate it. If anyone has any questions for Laurie, just comment below. You're in our Facebook group, Healthy Fit
I
Nonstop.
think I am, sure.
Yeah,
Yep,
so make sure you tag Laurie, because she won't know you asked her a question unless you tag her at Laurie Coron. Okay?
Yeah, and I'm very open and willing to talk with anybody. But yeah, you guys are great. I'm grateful. I'm very grateful. Thank you.
We're grateful for you. Thank you, Laurie. Bye-bye.
We'll see you later. Bye, Adele.